U.S. and Iran to hold talks today as pressure for nuclear deal builds. Iran has capped range of its missiles below 2,000 km. Former IAEA chief warns U.S. of horrific costs of war on Iran. Cuban forces open fire on U.S. registered speedboat, 4 killed. U.S. and Iranian officials are set to hold a third round of indirect nuclear talks in Geneva on Thursday, as tensions rise between the two countries. The talks come as President Donald Trump warns that the United States could strike Iran if a new nuclear agreement is not reached. At the same time, Iran says it will respond with force if attacked. The United States has also carried out its largest military buildup in the Middle East in years, increasing fears of a possible conflict. These negotiations are seen as a last attempt to avoid war, but it remains unclear whether a deal can be reached. President Trump says he prefers a diplomatic solution, but he is also considering a limited military strike to pressure Iran into accepting an agreement. The U.S. has not clearly explained its full demands, especially since American forces bombed Iranian nuclear facilities 8 months ago during fighting between Israel and Iran. Iran has rejected U.S. demands to completely stop uranium enrichment, but officials have suggested they may be willing to make some compromises on their nuclear program. Iran's Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi says Iran has deliberately limited the range of its missiles to under 2,000 kilometers, denying claims that Tehran is building missiles capable of reaching the United States. Speaking in a television interview, Araghchi described reports about long-range Iranian missiles as fake news, saying Iran's missile program is strictly defensive and meant for deterrence. The interview was recorded shortly before Araghchi traveled to Geneva for upcoming nuclear talks with the United States. Araghchi said tensions between Iran and the U.S. go back to the 1979 Islamic Revolution, which replaced the U.S.-backed Shah with Iran's current Islamic government. He claimed Iran has faced decades of pressure, sanctions, and conflicts, but said those efforts have failed. He also accused the United States of misunderstanding Iran and relying on outside influence and misinformation, rather than direct engagement with the Iranian people. Despite the tensions, Araghchi said Iran remains open to better relations if the United States changes its approach and deals with Iran with respect. He stressed that Iran will continue to maintain defensive military capabilities, saying the country must protect itself in an unstable region. Former UN nuclear watchdog chief Mohammed El-Baradei has warned the United States about the serious consequences of a possible war with Iran. In a message posted online, El-Baradei said the United States is increasing pressure toward conflict, warning that all wars carry devastating costs, especially wars that are not necessary. He also criticized Washington for providing no clear legal justification for military action and no solid evidence of an immediate threat from Iran. Tensions have risen as President Donald Trump strengthens the U.S. military presence in the Middle East, deploying aircraft carriers, warplanes, and missile systems to the region. This comes even as the United States and Iran prepare for a third round of indirect nuclear talks in Geneva, aimed at avoiding conflict. Iran's foreign minister has said a nuclear agreement is possible, but stressed that Iran's military is fully prepared, adding that strong defense can help prevent war. The situation remains uncertain, with diplomacy continuing alongside rising military tensions. Cuban authorities say 4 Cuban nationals living in the United States were shot dead by Cuban border guards after a violent confrontation at sea. According to Cuba's Interior Ministry, a Florida-registered speedboat carrying 10 Cuban citizens was intercepted near Cayo Falcones off Cuba's northern coast on Wednesday. Officials say the passengers opened fire on a Cuban Coast Guard vessel, prompting border guards to return fire. 4 people were killed and 6 others were wounded and arrested. Cuba claims the group was armed with handguns, assault rifles, and homemade explosives, and intended to carry out a terrorist infiltration operation. Authorities also said most of the suspects had criminal records, and an 11th person has been arrested after allegedly admitting involvement in the plot. The United States says it is investigating the incident, with Secretary of State Marco Rubio describing it as highly unusual. The case has raised new tensions and questions about security and migration between Cuba and the United States,